Okay, today we are making hamburgers and french fries for dinner, and I think I'm going to make some biscuits that will end up being the hamburger buns. So I was just going to show you guys how I do that. We use Yukon Gold potatoes. I like to slice them in half, and then I have this nifty Weston chopper thing. It saves a lot of time when making french fries. It's also great for doing hash browns. You want to line your sheet with parchment paper so that it doesn't stick. And you want to get them spread out nice on the pan so that they bake relatively evenly. This does look like it's overloaded, but these are going to lose water as they cook and shrink down quite a bit. And you want to drizzle some olive oil on top. This helps keep them from sticking even to the parchment paper. You don't want to do too much because then it will be really greasy and they won't get crunchy at all. Whatever seasonings you like, I usually do Montreal steak, paprika, and garlic powder. Mostly I like the paprika just because it adds a little bit of color. Sometimes I'll do turmeric instead, but that's a little bit of a weird taste for french fries. This is almost exactly how I do hash browns as well. I just slice them as they're coming out of that so that they're in hash brown size. These are going to go into a 400-degree oven for, I'll have to check, but it's between half an hour to probably 45 minutes. They do take a little while. So I'm going to put these in the oven and then we will get started mixing up the hamburger. Okay, so just checking on the french fries. It looks like they're about done. You want to avoid stirring them as much as possible because that will just kind of squish them. And really just cook them as long as you like to get them to the level of crunchiness that you want. If, you know, 20, 30, 40 minutes to french fries is too long for you, you can obviously turn the heat up on the oven or put it on the broil setting. You just need to pay more attention because they will burn very quickly if you do that. I have the ground beef ready to go and everything that I'm going to mix into this before I make hamburger patties. This is about 4.5 pounds of ground beef. It will make quite a few hamburger patties, so we'll be eating that for a few days. I always like to add a few pieces of bread. If you had, you know, breadcrumbs, this is basically what I'm doing with this. And then I have some garlic that I minced up and 2 eggs, of course garlic powder because the more garlic the merrier, and the Montreal steak seasoning once again. Breadcrumbs will go in there. making a mess of this because I can't crack eggs with one hand a cool way. Again, seasonings are just kind of whatever you like your hamburgers to taste like. We definitely mix it up every time we're making them. Only gonna use about, hang on buddy, only gonna use about half of this garlic. So now I'm going to work on making these biscuits. As I said, I think they're a really good breakfast biscuit, but I would like to try them for hamburger buns, mostly because I'm kind of obsessed with them right now and I want them for everything. So I'll be using 2 cups of flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of olive oil, 1 cup of buttermilk. I'm just gonna do milk since this is to go with hamburgers. Buttermilk might be a little weird. 2 eggs, 2 teaspoons of parsley, 1.5 cups of shredded cheddar cheese, and a few cloves of garlic that I'm going to cook slightly on the oven with a little bit of butter so it's not raw garlic in here. So I've got everything in here. Now I need to add in my cup of milk and the garlic that I browned. As I said, my friend that shared the recipe for her olive oil drop biscuits, which is just the base for what I've made here, that recipe is a lot easier. You know, there's no eggs, there's no cheese, there's no parsley, there's no garlic. It's a very simple, very delicious recipe. I will link her video below so that you can also get her recipe. That one's great as, you know, a plain biscuit with dinner, or we've been eating them with butter and honey. They're really, really good. Now, one trick is you do not want to mix this too much. You kind of want it to be a thick, kind of goopy consistency. I am using einkorn flour, which absorbs liquids a little bit slower. So I have been tending to add a little bit more towards the end. Okay, so this is about the consistency that you want. This does not poof up a lot, so you kind of just want to scoop it into whatever size biscuits you're going to want. I'm going to do these a little bit bigger because obviously we're wanting them to be hamburger buns. Okay, so these are ready to go. I'm gonna put them into the oven at 420 degrees. You're only gonna cook them for about 10 to 15 minutes, just until the high points just barely start turning golden brown. You really do not wanna overcook these, I promise. If the tips are very light golden brown, they're done. So into the oven we go. So here are the biscuits. They took right about 10 minutes. You can see they're just barely golden on the top, but they are done. Any more than that and they would have been burned. I'm going to let these cool off for the next several minutes. They're easier to slice once they're cooled, and I'm going to go get the hamburger started on the grill. So here's the final product. I have my hamburger with some homemade pickles, the homemade biscuits that I'm using for bread, and the French fries. Thanks for watching, guys.